Kyle Vera sat in the cockpit of the diplomatic cruiser Aurora's Pride, staring out at the endless expanse of stars. The hum of the engines was soothing, a constant reminder that he was far from home but still firmly in control of his destiny. He tightened his grip on the control lever and exhaled slowly. The mission he carried was unlike any he had ever undertaken. It was simple in concept, but fraught with complexity. Deliver a gift to Queen Seraphine of Lyrian Prime, one that had belonged to her late husband, King Rian, and in doing so, build a fragile bridge of trust between humans and one of the galaxy's most powerful royal houses. The medallion rested in a secure compartment beside him. Its surface was dark and metallic, etched with fine lines that shimmered under the soft light of the cabin. But it was more than just metal and engravings. It contained a fragment of King Rian's personal AI consciousness. It could recall memories, moments, and messages left behind by the late king. It had been hidden for decades in a derelict human colony, waiting for someone to find it and return it to the royal family. That someone was now Kale. He remembered the day he had discovered it, floating in the remains of a shattered space station on the outer rim. The station had been abandoned for over 100 years, left to drift among the asteroids after a mining disaster. Most people would have passed it by, considering it too dangerous to enter, but Kale was a historian. Danger and mystery were part of his profession, and the idea that he might find something linked to a legendary figure like King Rian was too tempting to resist. The station had been silent, eerie in its stillness. Panels hung from walls like skeletal fingers, and the air smelled faintly of burnt circuits. Kale had moved cautiously, scanning every corridor, every room, with a portable AI scanner. That's when he found it. A small box tucked into a corner, sealed and untouched. When he opened it, the medallion seemed to pulse faintly, as if it recognized a living being in the room. He had felt a chill run down his spine, a mixture of fear and awe. This was not just an object. This was a connection to the past, a relic of a man who had shaped the course of a civilization. As Kale flew toward Lyrian Prime, he thought of the Queen. Seraphine was known throughout the galaxy not just for her beauty, but for her intelligence and her sharp political mind. She had ascended to the throne after her husband's death, and whispers suggested that she trusted few, if any, outside her closest advisors. Many humans had tried to form alliances with the royal house over the years, and most had failed. The Queen valued caution above all else. Kale knew that delivering this gift was not just about presenting a medallion. It was about demonstrating humanity's creativity, reliability, and courage. The journey had been long. Weeks had passed through uncharted sectors, navigating asteroid fields and solar storms. The Aurora's Pride was state-of-the-art, but Kale had relied as much on human intuition as on technology. He had recalibrated the shields during a solar flare using nothing but a makeshift manual override. He had charted a course through a dense asteroid cluster when the automated navigation systems had failed. Each time he reminded himself that humans thrived in situations where others might fail because they adapted, they improvised, and they never gave up. The first signals of Lyrian Prime appeared as a distant blue-green glow on the horizon. Kale's stomach tightened. The planet was massive, with sprawling oceans and glittering cities visible even from orbit. The royal palace floated near the northern hemisphere, a vast structure suspended in magnetic fields, gleaming like a jewel. Despite all his preparations, Kale felt a flicker of uncertainty. How would the Queen receive him? How would she respond to the medallion? Docking at the palace was a spectacle. Guards in silver and gold uniforms lined the corridors, their expressions unreadable behind sleek helmets. Kale was escorted through ornate halls filled with holographic displays of the royal lineage, paintings of battles fought and won, and intricate tapestries that seemed to shift in the light. Everywhere he looked, the power of the Lyrian monarchy was clear. He was a guest in a world that had been built to impress, to intimidate, and to command respect. Finally, he was led into a private chamber where Queen Seraphine awaited. She sat on a high-backed chair, her posture perfect, her eyes sharp and calculating. She regarded Kale for a long moment without speaking. He bowed slightly, careful to show respect. Kyle Vera, she said, her voice calm but firm. I understand you carry something that belonged to my late husband. Yes, Your Majesty, Kyle replied.
I found it on a human colony at the edge of the Outer Rim. It was hidden, preserved for decades.
I believe it belongs to you and should be returned to your possession. The Queen's gaze lingered on the medallion as Kale retrieved it from its case. He held it carefully, ensuring it would not slip or fall. The metal glimmered, faint patterns etched along its surface catching the light. He placed it gently in her hands. The room was silent. Even the guards seemed to hold their breath. The Queen's eyes softened slightly as she traced her fingers over the carvings. It feels familiar, she said quietly. Her voice held a note of emotion that she rarely allowed to escape.
How did you find it? Kale explained the journey from the discovery in the abandoned station to the challenges of navigating through the Outer Rim.
He spoke of the human colony that had once thrived there, of the derelict station that had held the medallion, and of the careful process of preserving the AI fragment embedded within it. He told her of the risks he had taken, the choices he had made, and the determination that had driven him to succeed. The Queen listened in silence, her eyes never leaving the medallion. Then, as if testing him, she asked, "How can I be sure this is not a trap?" Humans are clever, but some of your kind have motives that are less than honorable. Kale met her gaze without flinching. Your Majesty, I understand your caution, but human ingenuity is not just cleverness for personal gain. It is resourcefulness, problem-solving, and loyalty. I took every precaution to ensure the artifact's safety. No one else sought it, and no one else could have preserved it as it was meant to be. If you wish, I can demonstrate its features here, under your supervision. The Queen considered him for a long moment, then nodded. Do so. Kale activated the medallion. A soft glow emanated from its center, projecting a holographic image into the room. It was faint at first, a shimmer of light, but then it solidified into the figure of King Rian, standing in the ruins of the human colony. He moved naturally, almost lifelike, as if he were walking through the chamber himself. The hologram spoke, though the words were fragmented. Memories of the king's life played out in flashes, him laughing with Seraphine during a private moment, inspecting the colony with pride, leaving behind messages meant for her. Kale watched the Queen carefully. Her expression shifted from skepticism to awe, and finally, a hint of tears glistened at the corners of her eyes. This is incredible, she whispered. I never imagined such a thing could exist. Kale nodded. It is human technology, Your Majesty. We have the ability to merge memory and AI, to preserve the essence of those we have lost. I brought it to you so that you might remember him, and perhaps understand his final thoughts. For a long while, neither spoke. The Queen studied the hologram, absorbing every detail. The guards, though trained to maintain composure, glanced at each other in quiet amazement. Outside, the city lights of Lyrian Prime flickered against the dark expanse of the oceans, but inside the chamber, time seemed suspended, holding only the past, the present, and the fragile thread of human ingenuity that had brought them together. When the projection finally faded, the Queen placed the medallion close to her heart. You have done well, Kale Vera. Not only in finding this, but in delivering it safely. You have shown me what humans are capable of. I did not expect to find this level of courage and skill outside my own people. Kale bowed once more. Thank you, Your Majesty. It was my honor. The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly, thoughtful. There is more to this than just a gift. The medallion, it holds something I do not yet understand, and I sense that others may wish to take it from me. Kale's stomach tightened. He had suspected as much. The galaxy was filled with those who would exploit any advantage. especially one as powerful as the king's AI consciousness. "If there is danger," he said quietly, "I will do everything in my power to protect it. And you." Then she smiled. Faint but genuine. Perhaps humans are not so fragile after all. Kale felt a surge of pride, not for himself, but for his species. Humans had always been underestimated by the galactic powers, seen as clever but weak, unpredictable but fleeting. Yet here he was, trusted by a queen, carrying not just a medallion, but the hope of forging a new understanding between species. The first stage of the mission was complete. Kale had delivered the gift, but he knew this was only the beginning. In the shadows beyond the palace walls, forces were already moving, watching, waiting for a chance to seize the medallion. And when that time came, it would not be human technology alone that would protect it. It would be human courage, ingenuity, and determination. As Kale left the chamber, escorted back through the glittering halls, he looked out at the city below. The lights stretched endlessly, a network of possibilities, challenges, and unknown dangers. Yet he felt a steady confidence. Humanity had faced the impossible before, and it would do so again. In that moment, Kale Vera understood something vital. The stars themselves were no longer distant and cold. They were a stage, and humans had finally stepped into the spotlight, ready to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. And somewhere, in the quiet of the royal chamber, Queen Seraphine held the medallion close, thinking not just of her late husband, but of the human who had brought a piece of him back, and perhaps of a future she had not dared to imagine. Kale stayed in the guest quarters of the royal palace, but sleep came reluctantly. The glow of Lyrian Prime's city lights reflected through the tall windows, painting the walls with shifting patterns of blue and green. His mind replayed the events in the Queen's chamber over and over. The moment she held the medallion, the way her eyes softened, and the faint smile that had appeared despite her careful composure. Humans had always been underestimated across the galaxy, but Kale realized something now. What he had delivered was not just a gift, it was a test. And in passing it, he had demonstrated something more valuable than courage or skill. Trust. Yet trust was a fragile thing, and Kale knew it could be broken at any moment. He thought of the galaxy beyond Lyrian Prime, of rival factions and mercenaries who would kill for the artifact. The medallion was a beacon, and he had delivered it into the heart of the most heavily guarded palace in the galaxy. But Kale had learned long ago that danger followed even the most careful plan, and the shadows often waited where one least expected them. Early the next morning, Kale was summoned to a smaller chamber, one less ornate than the Queen's private room but still imposing. He entered to find two of the Queen's advisors already present. Talus Vorn, a tall humanoid with silver hair and sharp amber eyes, and Lyra Sena, a human diplomat who had served the Lyrian court for decades. Both regarded him with polite curiosity, though their expressions carried an unmistakable hint of suspicion. "Hail, Vera," Talus said, his voice measured. "The Queen has informed us of your mission."
"We understand you carry the medallion
Of her late husband.
"Yes," Kale replied, bowing slightly.
It is safely in her possession. The artifact is unharmed and fully operational.
Lyra Sena stepped forward. "We are aware of the capabilities of this device. Humans are known for ingenuity, but many here are cautious. How can we be certain this medallion is not more than it appears?" Kale nodded, expecting the question. "The medallion is a fragment of AI linked to King Rion's consciousness. It stores his memories, yes, but it cannot act independently. It cannot transmit information outside this chamber without deliberate activation. Its purpose is to preserve the past, not to manipulate the present." Talus's gaze did not soften. Words are easy. Actions prove intent. Kale met his stare evenly. "I will demonstrate if you wish. I am here to serve the Queen, and uphold her trust, nothing more. There was a tense pause. Then Lyra spoke. Very well. The Queen wishes to test the medallion further.
You will remain here while she reviews its capabilities. If this is indeed what you claim, it will become part of the royal archives.
If not, she did not finish the sentence, but Kale understood. A single failure, a single misstep, and the medallion could be taken by force or destroyed, along with his career and possibly his life. Kale settled in, observing the palace from his window as Lyrian Prime slowly rotated beneath him. The city was alive with movement, but Kale's attention was divided. He kept thinking about the medallion and its hidden contents. The AI fragment inside had been designed by humans to adapt, to respond to emotional cues, and to communicate messages in subtle ways. It was meant to be safe, but it was also a treasure, a tool that could change the perception of humanity in the galaxy. Hours passed before the Queen summoned him again. This time, Kale walked into her chamber to find her seated with the medallion glowing faintly in her hands. The room was dim, lit primarily by the soft projection of the AI memory images floating around her. Kale felt a sudden sense of tension. There was more to this moment than a simple demonstration. The Queen looked at him directly. Kale Vera, the medallion has shown me glimpses of my husband's past, but I feel there is something he left behind. Something hidden. Kyle nodded slowly. Your Majesty, King Ryan was cautious. He trusted few. The medallion contains fragments of messages meant only for you. Some may not be immediately visible. The AI responds to emotional resonance. That is, it reacts to your thoughts, your feelings, and your curiosity. Seraphine's eyes narrowed slightly. Curiosity? Then it has chosen to speak to me and not to anyone else? Yes, Kale said. It recognizes the person it was meant for. Others may see its physical form, but only you can unlock the deeper messages. The Queen's expression softened, a rare moment of vulnerability showing through her composed exterior. I never imagined such a thing could exist. I feel as though he is speaking to me now, even after all these years. Kale watched as she activated the medallion fully. A holographic projection emerged, larger this time, showing King Rian walking through the abandoned colony where Kale had found the artifact. The scenes were fragmented, showing moments of ordinary life. Rian inspecting equipment, laughing with colonists, gazing at the stars. But Kale noticed something subtle. Each projection seemed to contain coordinates, maps hidden within the memories, and references to events that had never been recorded in historical texts. The Queen's brow furrowed. These coordinates. What do they mean? Kale stepped closer. I believe they point to a location King Ryan intended for you to discover. Perhaps evidence, or a warning. Humans have long used indirect methods to protect valuable information. He may have trusted no one but you to follow the trail. Seraphine's eyes glimmered with a mixture of excitement and concern. If this is true, there may be those who would seek the medallion for themselves, and they may already be moving. Kale's heart quickened. He had anticipated this. Your Majesty, the galaxy is filled with those who would exploit any advantage. We must prepare for the possibility that others know about the medallion or its capabilities.
The Queen stood and paced slowly. And you?
Can we trust you, Kale Vera? You are human.
You come from a species I barely know, yet you have brought this to me safely. How do I know you will not take this for your own gain? Kale's gaze was steady. Your Majesty, humans are not perfect, but we are capable of loyalty, courage, and ingenuity. I have no interest in taking what belongs to you.
I have risked everything to ensure it reached your hands.
That is my proof. The Queen considered him for a long moment, then nodded. Very well.
You will remain close. I will need your counsel as I explore what my husband left behind.
But be warned, Kale Vera. This will not be without danger.
Kale bowed. I understand, Your Majesty.
Whatever comes, I am ready. That evening, the palace was alive with subtle movements. Unseen eyes watched from the shadows. Kale knew it was inevitable. The medallion had sent a signal the moment it had been activated. He had underestimated the speed at which others might respond. Across the galaxy, rival factions had sensed the artifact's activation. They would not wait long to act. Kale spent the next days assisting the Queen as she navigated the medallion's deeper functions. They discovered messages from King Rian that spoke in riddles, directions encoded within memories, and emotional cues designed to guide only her. It was intricate and complex, yet Kale marveled at the precision of human technology. He realized that humans had always relied on ingenuity, using intellect, emotion, and adaptability to succeed where brute force failed. Late one night, Kale reviewed the palace security feeds and noticed anomalies, drones moving in patterns that didn't match standard patrol routes, minor breaches of perimeter sensors that had previously never triggered alerts. Someone, or some group, was testing the palace defenses. The realization struck him with urgency. The medallion had drawn attention, and danger was closer than anyone realized. The Queen remained unaware of the threat, engrossed in decoding Rian's messages. Kale made a decision. If the medallion was to be safe, he would need to prepare. Not just to protect it physically, but to anticipate every possible strategy an intruder might employ. He began mapping out defense plans, rerouting surveillance, and preparing contingencies. Humans had always adapted to the impossible, and he intended to prove that again. One night, as he monitored the palace from a hidden observation deck, Kale noticed movement on the northern perimeter. Small, fast-moving objects, clearly not part of the regular patrols, approached under the cover of darkness. He activated the palace alert systems discreetly, sealing access points and rerouting communications to avoid tipping off the intruders. Kale realized that the medallion was more than a gift. It had become a test of trust, courage, and resourcefulness. He knew that the coming confrontation would demand everything humans were known for: quick thinking, adaptability, and resilience. He felt a surge of determination. Humanity had survived countless challenges on distant colonies and hostile worlds. They had always faced the unknown with ingenuity and determination. The following morning, Kale approached the Queen.
Your Majesty, he said, there may be those who seek the medallion. I recommend increased security and caution until we fully understand the scope of what your husband left behind.
Seraphine looked at him, her expression unreadable but her trust in him evident. I see. Then it seems our work has only just begun. And you, Kale Vera, will be at the center of it. Kale nodded. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also a quiet pride. He had delivered the gift, earned the Queen's trust, and now stood at the edge of something far greater than himself. Humanity was not a minor player in the galaxy. Here on Lyrian Prime they had the chance to prove it. Outside, the twin suns of Lyrian Prime rose over the horizon, casting golden light across the palace towers. Kale knew the days ahead would test him in ways he had never imagined. But one thought sustained him. Humans had always risen to meet impossible odds, and he intended to ensure that the galaxy would see what they were truly capable of. The night was quiet over Lyrian Prime, but Kale Vera knew better than to trust silence. From his hidden observation post in the palace's upper towers, he watched shadows flicker along the walls of the northern perimeter. The sensors had picked up movement hours ago. Small, precise, almost imperceptible. Whoever was out there wasn't careless. They were trained, patient, and clearly aware that the medallion was more than just a keepsake. Kale activated his portable tactical interface and began rerouting the palace security drones. He adjusted their patrols subtly, forcing the intruders to encounter unexpected barriers without alerting the Queen or her advisors. He also scanned the surrounding airspace for heat signatures, looking for anything resembling ships or personal flight suits. The intruders were fast, efficient, and possibly numerous. He realized that the medallion had drawn more attention than he had anticipated. It wasn't just a relic of the past, it was a key to power. Whoever controlled the AI fragment of King Rian could manipulate political decisions, gain access to ancient knowledge, or even blackmail Lyrian Prime's allies. This was not a mission Kale could handle alone, but he trusted in human ingenuity, adaptability, improvisation, and cunning, the qualities that had brought him this far. Kale moved silently through the palace corridors, avoiding cameras and guards, positioning himself between the Queen's private chamber and the northern perimeter. He carried a compact multi-tool, a communicator, and a small energy pistol, not because he expected to fire it, but because humans never relied on brute force alone. Strategy and thinking 2 steps ahead had always been humanity's strongest weapons. The intruders made their move just past midnight. Small silhouettes darted across the palace walls, almost invisible against the darkness. Call activated his portable sensor module and tagged each intruder. They were humanoid but heavily modified, wearing stealth suits that reduced their heat signatures. Their movements were synchronized, indicating training and prior planning. Kale calculated quickly. There were 7 of them, possibly more, and they were attempting to breach the Queen's private chamber where the medallion rested. If they succeeded, the medallion and the secrets it contained would be lost to the galaxy forever. He took a deep breath and devised a plan. Direct confrontation would be risky. Too many variables, too much uncertainty. Instead, he would use the palace's own systems against the intruders. He hacked into the environmental controls, sending subtle pulses to create electromagnetic interference in the area surrounding the intruders. Their stealth suits began to flicker, revealing outlines in faint thermal glimpses. Kale activated the palace drones remotely, directing them to hover in strategic positions, their sensors tuned to detect movement and relay real-time locations. The intruders paused, sensing the changes but unable to identify the source. Kale smiled faintly.
They were smart, but human adaptability often outmatched raw planning.
The first confrontation came in the palace's grand hall. The intruders had reached a checkpoint and attempted to disable the security systems. Kale triggered a localized force field from a maintenance panel, separating them and preventing them from advancing. The intruders reacted quickly, using magnetic grappling hooks to vault over the barrier. But Kale had anticipated this. He manipulated the palace's magnetic systems, creating repelling fields that slowed their momentum and forced them to rethink their approach. One intruder realized they were being countered and tried to communicate with an unseen team. Kale intercepted the signal, jamming their transmissions and feeding false coordinates to confuse them further. It was a delicate balance. Too much interference could alert the Queen's advisors, too little, and the intruders might reach the medallion. But humans were masters of improvisation, and Kale relied on intuition honed through years of exploration and problem-solving. Meanwhile, the Queen remained unaware of the immediate threat, engrossed in decoding additional messages from the medallion. Kale had placed subtle alerts in her interface, warning her of anomalies without revealing the intruder's presence directly. She paused occasionally, sensing that something was amiss, but trusted Kale's judgment implicitly. The intruders regrouped near the central corridor, preparing for a coordinated assault. Kale knew that direct engagement could be dangerous, even fatal. He devised a trap. Using the palace's advanced holographic projectors, he created the illusion of an empty corridor while redirecting their movement into a side passage. Magnetic nets and automated locking doors awaited them there. The first intruder stepped into the trap. The magnetic net shot out, pinning them in midair. The others hesitated, unsure of what had occurred. Kale manipulated the system further, creating a sequence of distractions. Lights flashed, drones emitted high-pitched frequencies, and force fields activated and deactivated to confuse their senses. One by one, the intruders were isolated and contained, struggling against the systems Kale controlled with precision. Despite their technology and training, the intruders were outmatched by human adaptability. Kale's strategies were not about overwhelming force, but about foresight, prediction, and improvisation. Each move was calculated, anticipating their reactions and countering them before they could act. By the time the last intruder reached the corridor, Kale had already redirected their path into a containment chamber. Breathing heavily, Kale surveyed the scene. 7 intruders, all neutralized without a single casualty in the palace. He knew this was only the beginning. Whoever had sent them would not give up so easily. The medallion had revealed not only King Rian's secrets, but also a vulnerability in the galaxy's balance of power. Humans were now entangled in a political game far larger than any colony skirmish or research expedition Kale had ever faced. Kale returned to the Queen's chamber to report. Seraphine looked up from the medallion, sensing the tension in his posture. "What has occurred?" she asked.
"They attempted to breach the palace," Kale said calmly. "I was able to intercept and contain them."
"They will not reach the medallion." The Queen studied him carefully. Intruders. Coordinated. They must know about the medallion already. Kale nodded.
Yes, Your Majesty. Whoever they are, they will try again.
But humans have a way of turning the impossible into success. The palace systems, combined with strategy and adaptability, gave us the advantage.
"We will remain vigilant."
Seraphine allowed a small smile. "You are resourceful, Kale Ra. Perhaps more so than I expected. Your presence here is proving valuable." Kale felt a flicker of pride. He had delivered the gift and protected it, but more importantly, he had demonstrated what humanity could do: confront threats with intelligence and courage, adapt in real time, and succeed against the odds. This was the essence of the HFY principle. The underestimated human proving their worth through ingenuity and determination. In the following days, Kale worked closely with the Queen and her advisors to strengthen palace defenses. He redesigned patrol routes, implemented human-derived tactical strategies, and improved communication systems to counter any hidden surveillance. Every measure was subtle, blending seamlessly with existing Lyrian technology while enhancing effectiveness. The medallion continued to reveal fragments of King Rian's memories, each containing hints of a larger puzzle. Coordinates led to remote locations, cryptic messages suggested hidden threats, and emotional cues hinted at allies who could assist in the coming conflict. Kale guided the Queen through the process, explaining how the AI fragment operated and helping her interpret the data. One evening, while reviewing a newly unlocked sequence from the medallion, Kale noticed a hidden pattern. A series of encoded signals that indicated not just physical locations, but political alliances. The king had anticipated challenges to his rule and had prepared contingencies that only someone with human-level creativity and reasoning could understand. "This is remarkable," Kale said quietly to the Queen. "Your husband planned for this. He trusted humans to decipher it because we think differently. We see solutions where others see obstacles. That is why the medallion works now, and why we can stay ahead of our enemies." Seraphine's gaze softened as she traced the lines of the projection. "Then perhaps humans are not only allies, but guides. You have already proven that your kind can solve what others cannot." Kale smiled faintly. "We have survived the impossible before. We adapt. We learn. We endure. That is what humans do." Suddenly, an alert flashed on the tactical interface. Another breach attempt, this time from a different direction. Likely a coordinated effort by the same faction. Kale's mind raced. The intruders were persistent, more sophisticated, and clearly determined. But he did not panic. This was what humans excelled at, facing the unexpected, thinking quickly, and using every available resource. Kale moved through the palace with precision, activating containment fields, rerouting drones, and preparing defensive strategies. The intruders approached, confident in their technology and training, but unprepared for the adaptability of a human mind. One by one, Kale anticipated their actions, countered their movements, and neutralized the threat without unnecessary force. By dawn, the palace was secure once more. The intruders had retreated, leaving behind traces of their technology that Kale would analyze to anticipate future attacks. The medallion remained in the queen's hands, glowing softly as if acknowledging the efforts taken to protect it. Kale knew this was only the beginning. Whoever sought the medallion would not stop, and the messages hidden within it pointed to a deeper conspiracy that spanned galaxies. Humans were now in the center of a web far larger than any colony skirmish or research expedition. Yet Kale felt confidence. Humanity had always risen to meet impossible odds. They had faced hostile environments, alien threats, and political intrigue, and they had prevailed. And here on Lyrian Prime, humans were proving their worth once again, not through force, but through courage, intellect, and ingenuity. The queen turned to Kale, her expression resolute. "We have survived tonight, Kale Vera. But this is not the end. We must prepare for what comes next, and I trust you to guide us through it."
Kale nodded.
"We will face whatever comes together, Your Majesty. Humans do not give up, and we do not yield to the impossible. That is who we are." Outside, the twin suns rose over Lyrian Prime, casting golden light across the palace towers. Shadows retreated, but Kale knew the galaxy was still full of threats. Yet he also knew that humanity, underestimated and overlooked for so long, had the ability to shape its destiny. Here, on Lyrian Prime, humans were beginning to leave their mark, and the story of the medallion, of King Rian's legacy, and of human ingenuity was far from over. The following days were tense within the walls of the Lyrian palace. Kale Vera spent every waking hour analyzing the medallion, decrypting the hidden messages, and preparing defenses. The queen remained deeply engaged, her mind sharp and precise as she pieced together the puzzle her late husband had left behind. The holographic projections of King Ryan's memories had become a roadmap, guiding them toward a location far beyond the borders of Lyrian Prime, a remote research station in the outer rim where evidence of a vast interstellar conspiracy awaited. "This station," Kale said, pointing to the projected coordinates, "is where your husband anticipated the greatest threat would come. He left records, warnings, and solutions here. But retrieving it will not be simple. Whoever seeks the medallion will stop at nothing to intercept us." Seraphine's eyes were steady. "Then we will go. Humans have a way of facing the impossible, Kale, and now I will witness it firsthand." Kale felt a surge of pride. Humanity had often been dismissed as fragile, naive, or weak. But here, on the edge of the galaxy, they were about to demonstrate what they truly were capable of. "We leave tonight," he said. "The journey will be dangerous, but we can adapt, improvise, and overcome any obstacle." By nightfall, they were aboard a sleek, specially modified shuttle prepared for stealth and speed. The medallion remained secure in a containment case designed by Kale himself, its AI fragment safely shielded against any unauthorized attempts at access. The Queen and Kale had prepared for every foreseeable scenario: sensor interference, ambushes, environmental hazards, and even potential betrayal from allies. But nothing could replicate the unpredictability of human ingenuity. As the shuttle exited orbit, Kale scanned the outer rim for threats. The galaxy beyond Lyrian Prime was cold and unforgiving, filled with asteroid fields, rogue planets, and drifting remnants of abandoned stations. It was also a place where few dared to venture, making it perfect for hiding secrets and traps. Hours into the journey, an alarm flashed on the shuttle's interface. Kale's stomach tightened. A fleet of unidentified ships had emerged from a nearby nebula, intercepting their course. These were the same forces that had attempted to breach the palace, a coalition of mercenaries and rival factions who had discovered the medallion's existence. "Incoming," Kale said, his voice calm but firm. "They've tracked us. Prepare for evasive maneuvers."
The Queen strapped herself into the shuttle, observing the controls and trusting Kale completely.
What are our chances? She asked. Hale allowed a faint smile. Humans survive where others fail. We will adapt.
We will outthink them. The pursuing ships fired, their energy beams cutting through the darkness of space.
Kale engaged the shuttle's stealth field, reducing their visibility while simultaneously weaving through the asteroid field with precise maneuvers. The attackers followed, but Kale had anticipated this. Using the gravitational pull of nearby asteroids, he created a series of slingshot maneuvers that sent the pursuing ships off course, giving them a temporary advantage. Despite the chaos, Kale remained focused. He tapped into the shuttle's communication array and sent out false signals, projecting decoy positions and leading the attackers to chase illusions rather than reality.
The Queen watched, fascinated.
Your tactics, they are unlike anything we've seen.
Human ingenuity is remarkable.
Kale nodded. It's what we do. We adapt, improvise, and survive. By dawn, the Outer Rim station appeared on their sensors. It was a relic from decades past, abandoned by humans and forgotten by most. Yet Kale and the Queen knew its significance. Inside, King Rian had hidden the evidence of a conspiracy spanning multiple star systems, a plan to manipulate political power, destabilize governments, and control trade routes using the medallion as leverage. The shuttle docked quietly. Hale led the Queen through the airlock, their suits protecting them from the station's deteriorating atmosphere. Inside, the station was dark and silent, its corridors lined with panels that flickered faintly with residual power. Kale activated portable lights, revealing a maze of passageways and locked chambers. This way, he said, guiding the Queen toward the central chamber where the main archives were located. The medallion's AI fragment had already provided partial instructions, indicating the safest path through the station. As they moved, Kale noticed signs of recent activity: footprints in dust, displaced panels, and faint energy readings suggested that someone else had been here, possibly the same factions that had attacked the palace. They were not alone. Kale paused, assessing the situation. We need to proceed carefully. The intruders may have set traps or left surveillance. The Queen nodded, placing a hand lightly on his arm.
I trust you, Kale. Lead the way.
They navigated through the station with precision, avoiding pressure-sensitive floors, triggering no alarms. Kale's knowledge of human engineering and improvisation proved invaluable. At each corner, he anticipated potential hazards, modifying their path in real time to avoid detection. Finally, they reached the central archive. The room was filled with data cores, holographic displays, and storage units containing decades of information. Kale inserted the medallion into a secure docking port, allowing the AI fragment to interface directly with the station's systems. Streams of data began to flow, revealing the depth of the conspiracy. Detailed plans for political manipulation, lists of allied factions, and hidden agendas spanning multiple star systems. The scale of this, Seraphine whispered.
It is enormous.
Gale nodded. And only humans could have pieced this together so quickly. Our adaptability and reasoning allow us to navigate complexity in ways others cannot. Suddenly, a warning signal flashed on the station interface. The intruders had tracked them here, breaching the station's outer defenses. Kale's heart raced, but he remained calm.
They've found us, he said.
Time to test what humans do best. Using the station's systems, Kale activated environmental controls, creating low-gravity zones, closing bulkhead doors, and triggering automated security measures. The intruders, expecting a straightforward approach, were thrown into confusion. Kale led the Queen through a series of corridors, each designed to exploit their aggressors' assumptions and rigidity. One intruder attempted to cut them off, but Kale anticipated the move, sealing a nearby hatch and forcing the intruder into a containment field. The others were slowed by shifting gravity and automated obstacles. Each step of the way, Kale improvised, using the station itself as a weapon, not through violence, but through ingenuity, strategy, and timing. The Queen observed closely, impressed by the human mind at work. Your strategies, they are brilliant. You think of possibilities that others never even consider. Kale smiled faintly. Humans survive by thinking differently. We improvise when plans fail, adapt when situations change, and overcome where others see only obstacles.
By the time the intruders reached the central archive, Kale had already secured the critical data and created escape routes.
The intruders attempted to force entry, but Kale's defensive measures and quick thinking prevented them from accessing the medallion or the station's systems. One by one, the intruders were contained or driven off, leaving the humans in control. Breathing heavily, Kale turned to the Queen. It is done. The station is secure. The medallion and its secrets remain in your possession. Seraphine allowed herself a rare, genuine smile. Kale Vera, you have not only protected what is precious, but you have shown me the strength and ingenuity of your people. Humans are exceptional. Kale felt a deep sense of pride. Humanity had often been underestimated across the galaxy, but here, on the edge of the Outer Rim, they had demonstrated their true capabilities. Courage, creativity, and adaptability in the face of impossible odds. The Queen examined the medallion now glowing softly in the central chamber. This artifact, this gift, has done more than preserve memory. It has tested our trust, revealed our enemies, and shown the power of collaboration, and it was human ingenuity that ensured its safety.
Kale nodded. It is a reminder that humans are not just survivors.
We are problem solvers, innovators, and allies. When underestimated, we thrive.
When challenged, we rise.
With the station secure, Kale and the Queen returned to Lyrian Prime, the medallion safely in the Queen's possession and the conspiracy exposed.
Across the galaxy, their actions would ripple, altering political alliances and demonstrating the vital role humanity could play in shaping interstellar events. As the shuttle descended toward the royal palace, the twin suns of Lyrian Prime rose over the horizon, casting golden light across the city. Kale looked out the window, reflecting on the journey. Humans had faced the unknown, confronted danger, and triumphed through ingenuity and determination. Their place in the galaxy was no longer minor or overlooked. The Queen turned to him, her expression resolute and respectful.
Kale Vera, you have proven the worth of your species. Together, humans and Lyrians can face anything the galaxy presents.
This is only the beginning. Kale allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, not through brute force, but through courage, cleverness, and the willingness to face the impossible. And as they landed, he knew that the story of the medallion, of King Rion's legacy, and of human ingenuity would continue to inspire across the stars for generations to come. The galaxy was vast, full of unknowns, and often dangerous. But humans had proven they could not only survive, but excel. And in the light of Lyrian Prime's rising suns, Kale realized this was humanity's moment. A moment where the underestimated became the indispensable. The clever outmaneuvered the powerful, and the human spirit shone brighter than any star. For Kale Vera and Queen Seraphine, the medallion had become more than a gift. It was a symbol of trust, of resilience, and of what humans could achieve when they dared to rise to the challenge. The galaxy had taken notice, and humanity had finally shown it was ready.